Good afternoon and welcome to Live Healthy Miami Gardens Facebook Live weekly health and wellness series brought to you by the City of Miami Gardens, Live Healthy Miami Gardens. Our goal is to bring our community information and resources to help us make the healthiest choices possible for ourselves as a Miami Gardens community and our families. My name is Ketia Harris. I'm Community Health Data Specialist at Jessie Trice Community Health System, Program Manager for our Breastfeeding Touchpoint Program based out of Miami Gardens, and member of Live Healthy Miami Gardens, and your host for today. Live Healthy Miami Gardens was born from the realization that although health is largely influenced by our individual choices, the conditions in the communities where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are also major contributing factors to the racial and ethnic health disparities and healthcare disparities faced, as well as our overall ability to make healthier choices. We know that these conditions are systemic, historical, and continue to impact us as communities of color here as a whole here and now. Live Healthy Miami Gardens is a community initiative and part of the city's effort to address these conditions and reduce poor health outcomes through the transformation of policies, our environment, and the healthcare system overall, making the City of Miami Gardens a healthier place to be. Joining us today is Carla Sabugo, the Director of Innovation and Outreach at the Florida Department of Health in Miami-Dade County WIC program, a registered dietitian nutritionist, and a certified lactation counselor. And on top of all of that, Carla is also a mother of 4 precious and exclusively breastfed children. Today, she's joining us to discuss breastfeeding and nutrition. Carla, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background with WIC, and what you do now?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you, Katia, for having me on the show today. So again, my name is Carla Sabugo. I am a registered dietitian licensed here in the state of Florida. I'm the Director of Innovation and Outreach for the Miami-Dade WIC program. So I basically oversee all of our outreach, marketing, promotion, even grant opportunities and partnerships with local agencies, including any development and collaborations, initiatives, which we're currently working on, and you might hear often, which is Breastfeed Miami. So there's lots of different things that I get to be a part of in my role. I'm currently one of the leads for a grant that we received from Johns Hopkins on finding innovative tools to retain some of our children in the WIC program, and this is around actually social media. So I'm really happy to be here live with you guys today, and sharing some of the information on breastfeeding nutrition and the WIC program. I've been working for WIC for over 15 years. It's a passion of mine. My background is in nutrition and dietetics, and I also have a master's degree in health promotion and disease prevention, so master's in public health from FIU. So I've been around Miami-Dade for a long time and have gotten to know a lot of our community and work in the community. So it's been a passion of mine to work in the maternal, infant, and child health field. And I'm lucky to be a mom of 4. It is a lot of work, but it is such a blessing. And I'm happy that I was able to successfully breastfeed. And I'm actually still breastfeeding my 17-month-old at the time. So lots to go around and be able to share some of the knowledge I have, not only as a dietitian, but as a mom. So I'm happy to be here with Ketia today.
And thank you again, Carla, for joining us. And I'm glad and excited to get to hear your feedback and any of the thoughts and information you share as a lactation professional, but also as a mom, that real life, experience. So let's start with understanding the needs of mom when it comes to nutrition. Does mom need to eat differently while breastfeeding baby?
That's a really good question, and I know a lot of moms, especially when they become pregnant, they have a lot of questions about what should they eat, how should they, make sure that they're growing their baby and nourishing their baby. So it's a really good question, and it does change. You do eat differently because when the time that you're pregnant, you are growing a human. And so because of that, it's requiring a lot of nutrients in your body. So it goes the same way with breastfeeding your baby, that whenever you're providing nourishment to your baby, you need to nourish your body as well. Do you need to consume specific foods? Not necessarily. It just means that you are eating to take care of yourself, just like any other woman, any other person needs to do, which is basically a very nutritious and balanced diet. And I can kind of go over a little bit more of what that means, because I know sometimes people, we might not understand what does that mean, a balanced diet. So while you are breastfeeding, your energy does change. You need to be able to provide for your new baby. You're obviously, when you're having a newborn, your sleep is a lot less. So there's a lot of things that happen to you as you recover from birth as well. So it's not just because you're breastfeeding, but really the recovery from birth, to heal and to get back to, to having your uterus back down to size. A lot of that is happening to your body. A lot is going on. So it's important that you take care of yourself by eating healthy foods that are going to be higher in, say, protein, or you're going to have whole grain foods, which I can kind of talk a little bit more about it later. But just to keep that in mind, that you do eat a little bit differently, but not just because you're breastfeeding. It's because you're recovering from having a baby as well.
Okay. Now, I'm glad you pointed out it's not just about the breastfeeding, but it's about the whole postpartum experience. And that's one question I did have, is in comparison with eating during pregnancy. Is it the same mindset or the same concept of eating for two, or just how does that compare?
That's a really good point. So I know we've heard that you're eating for two, and people say, "Oh, you're pregnant, you better eat up." For a second person, but actually, that's not the case. You don't need to eat for two, because that would mean a lot more extra calories that your body doesn't need. What it really needs is just a balanced, colorful plate with lean proteins. And so what that means is that you're just consuming a few more calories. And by a few more calories, you're looking at maybe 300 extra calories a day, which really isn't a lot. If you look at the back of a label on any food item, I don't have anything nearby to show you, but in the back of any food item, you would see a nutrition label, and you can see amounts of calories. So at 300 extra calories is not much. And the same goes for pregnancy. You're not actually consuming for two, you're consuming for one, but it's a different type of in your life when you're either pregnant or breastfeeding postpartum. So it's important to know that you're not going to be eating for two, but you're just consuming a little bit more. And
So in
really,
short, I can't use that as an excuse.
yeah, no, you can't excuse at all. And you should think, like, you want to always ensure that you're eating when you're hungry and drinking water when you're thirsty, like quenching those necessities from your body, because your body will tell you when it's hungry. And the best thing you could do is just try to stick to things that are healthier for you.
Okay. Thank you. Now, with that said, are there any specific food items or drinks that mom should avoid? We talked a little bit about what she needs to consume, making sure the plate is colorful, but what about, what she should avoid, or is that even necessary?
Right. Good point. Yeah. I always talk about some things that, you should consume, but things that you might be aware of when you are breastfeeding. I'm not sure if, a lot of you might have noticed that when you're breastfeeding, your baby actually gets to taste all these flavors through your breast milk from all the foods you actually consume. So they actually get to taste and have these flavors within your breast milk, because sometimes even when you've pumped, you've seen the breast milk color actually change. Maybe you had broccoli and it turns kind of like a green. So there's a lot of really neat things that happen that allows the baby to kind of start learning flavors, which is really helpful. It reduces picky eaters later on when you're breastfeeding. So that's a really interesting thing that happens. It's natural. So sometimes when you're consuming foods that are different flavors, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that the baby's allergic to your milk. What it means is that it might be allergic to something, or sensitive, because it's not necessarily an allergy, but could be sensitive to certain foods you might be eating. So I definitely want to keep that in mind, that it's not necessarily the baby is allergic or having a reaction to your milk, but maybe possibly something you're consuming. Most of the culprits, I call them, are eggs, dairy products like milk and cheese that do tend to have, some reactions for some babies. And it's not always the same. So with you kind of learning about your diet and how you're eating, you can kind of tell with your baby some things to look out for. If the baby gets like extra fussy for a long period of time, that's an indicator that something's not comfortable with the baby. Maybe the baby has looser stools, or the stool color changes because breastfed babies are yellow stools. Maybe you're seeing like green stools. That actually happened to me. So those are things that you can be on the lookout for it. And so, like I said, it's not something that they're allergic to your milk or, sensitive to your milk. It's just something you might be consuming. And the best thing to do is just kind of work your way backwards and see, what did you eat last? What was the things that you had that day, and start doing, research of your own to find out what could be with you, and then maybe start taking away some things that might be making the baby sensitive. And I want to mention here that, like, whenever you're in this situation, that you have support. Like, don't feel you're on your own. This is something that has happened to so many of us moms. And we've all gone through something. So know you have the support within this network with Ketia's Breastfeeding Point program. You have Jessie, Trice, you have the WIC program, you have Breastfeed Miami. There's a lot of different resources out there to provide you that support. So if you are having these issues or you're having concerns, WIC has lactation consultants that provide services completely free. As long as you're a part of the WIC program, you get these services to you whenever you have these concerns. So I just want to share that if you do have that. And you also talk to your healthcare provider, of course.
Okay, and I appreciate you highlighting that, because that's something that I was going to ask about WIC in discussing some of the challenges, not just with that, but then other breastfeeding challenges. I want to know if that's something that WIC specifically support moms, and so I'm glad that. Thank you for highlighting it.
Absolutely. And the cool thing about WIC too is that whenever a mom is pregnant, ideally they start WIC when they're pregnant, that she gets to talk to a nutritionist right when she starts WIC. And she might not know anything at that point about maybe concerns, but then she gets to see that, another nutritionist again. And she gets the breastfeeding peer counselor when she's pregnant. So all those different steps while you're pregnant are really helpful, because you get a lot of information and you get, resources. You start to kind of understand and question things, and then be able to come back and ask more questions when you have them. And then after that, you have your lactation consultants when you've had your baby. So it's all kind of full circle to here, to support mothers.
Right. Yeah. And then you're seeing some of the moms who come out of WIC, just engaging moms who who have been able to utilize WIC services. Just seeing that contrast, they come out almost like, not almost, they come out as experts basically, and just to see the not only like the knowledge, but the confidence, and how and which, I, like you said, comes full circle in support the next month. So I do appreciate that.
It's an amazing opportunity for any mom to be a part of these programs. And WIC, not only do we provide that education and support, but there's also healthy foods that you get with an EBT card to support your family. So if you might have Medicaid or you have SNAP, like food stamps, you automatically are income eligible for WIC. So you don't even have to show anything, as far as income, because you're already a part of SNAP and Medicaid, which means you're automatically eligible for WIC. So if you're one of those moms right now and you have those services, just call WIC and you're not on WIC. This is something else that's pretty new, is that we have fruits and vegetables that are provided every month. And normally they're $11 more or less per person that are on WIC. They're at $35. So they've gone up because of the American Rescue Plan, and it's now extended until September. So if you're a mom and you've got 2 kids, that's, a substantial amount to be able to use for fresh fruits and vegetables, frozen, if you prefer, or canned. So those are options, with the foods as well.
Okay, beautiful. I'm glad you shared that. something else that I like to highlight is on Miami-Dade Wick's Instagram. I know for National Nutrition Month, you've been sharing some turmeric recipes. One is a turmeric cake. I still haven't tried to make it yet. And I think I saw something on like a turmeric and chicken or chicken
Yeah,
curry or something.
it is. It's chicken. Let me tell you right now. I'm going to go on there. So we have, this is from our Nutrition Education Action Team, which is pretty cool. It's called NEAT, and it's WIC staff, nutrition staff, and also our health support specialists that get together and come up with these amazing recipes. And this theme for this month, which is National Nutrition Month today, this month is National Nutrition Month. The theme is a world of flavors, to celebrate the world of flavors that we have. So it's pretty amazing because, Miami's a melting pot. So we have people from all across the world and can share different recipes. So we have a Middle Eastern recipes, which are the turmeric chicken, golden milk, and a souf cake, I think it's called. And all of that is on the Instagram page, so you can check it out. It's at Miami-Dade Wick. And it tells you the recipe, the instructions, and the reel actually shows you how to make the cake. So these are all Middle Eastern, and next week we're going to be putting up some African recipes.
Oh,
And
nice.
we also have a few more. So hopefully, you keep posted. You can actually see some of the world of flavor recipes that we have.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So I know we talked a little bit about some of the foods and drinks mom can and cannot consume. Um, One question, even when I was pregnant, I was a little hesitant about is consuming alcohol. Can mom get a drink? If so, how much? How does that work?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because I know we don't want breastfeeding to be also feel like a burden, like your life is so different, you can't do things. So that's not how breastfeeding is. It's part of your life, and there are some changes you do need to make and take care of yourself, because you need to be available and ready for your baby. So it's not just for your body, but actually because you need to be alert and aware for your new baby. So the what is recommended is that it is limited to drink alcohol when you are breastfeeding. During pregnancy, it is to avoid 100% while you are pregnant. And while you are breastfeeding, the recommendation would be to limit to 1 cup of either wine or it's a beer, and to be mindful of how you're feeling. And also to know how old your baby is, because it's ideally you want to wait until your baby's at least 3 months old, because at that point the baby and you both have established milk supply routine. Baby's a little bit older, and you can kind of understand the pattern that you have with your baby. So to try to avoid it at least for the first 3 months. And then if you do want to consume, you want to be mindful. So after you've given your baby, you've nursed your baby, at that point you're not going to maybe breastfeed for another maybe 2 hours or so. So you want to make sure that if you are going to consume something, you time it appropriately, and know when your baby's going to be nursing next. And there's always an indicator, is how you're feeling is really the content of alcohol in your blood. So if you're feeling, not good, this is probably not a good time to do that, to breastfeed. So you'd want to make sure that you're not consuming too much. So like I said, just the 1 cup and of whatever wine or beer that you drink, and kind of understand how you're feeling and know your baby's pattern, so that you're not nursing as soon as you've drank the alcohol.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the recommendation. And always remember to contact your healthcare provider. That's always helpful too if you have any questions or concerns.
Okay. So I know with that, there's sometimes engaging some of those who may participate in the support groups or the one-on-ones, comes up is like the pump and dump. What
Hmm.
is that something you would advise, or in certain situations, or
Yeah, exactly. In
flip
certain
side
situations,
about the you want to conserve? I mean, I think I'll
yeah,
cry if I needed to dump my milk. So
yeah.
I'm interested in your thoughts.
That's a good point, because when you're in in the time after 3 months, you still could get full, which is like engorged, if you skip to nurse because maybe you drank more than you should and you were not feeling good, and this is not a good time for you. So if this is going to happen, make sure that you have some reserve in your freezer, refrigerator of your own breast milk prior to that drink. So you have something for your baby just in case. And also, if you're to the point where you drink more than you should, then when you do go to pump, it should be at the same time more or less that you're going to breastfeed your baby, just to satisfy your, basically the body, because your breasts are getting engorged full of milk to get ready for the baby. So if you're already getting too much drinks, then this is not milk you want to give to your baby. So at that point, you do want to pump just to alleviate some of that pressure from your breast. But it's good to, just to remember that while your baby's still young, and in that very short period of time, to limit yourself to ideally maybe one, and just go from there. And you'll start to learn your body and understand what you can and cannot do. Because some people consume, lots of drinks and feel nothing, and then some can take a little bit and feel a lot. So everybody's body is a little different. So it's good to understand your own body and know that it can go through the breast milk if it's in high amounts. So it's better to limit yourself and also understand how your baby is nursing, the pattern that the baby's nursing.
Okay. So we're going to shift a little bit in talking about the nutritive benefits of breastfeeding and everything with the baby. Before we move on to that, because we understand that breastfeeding and breast milk does benefit baby, but can and does breast milk or breastfeeding also benefit mom?
Yeah, actually, so it's not just baby. Actually, the breastfeeding is definitely, the best start for a baby for the rest of its life. It sets them up. But it's actually really beneficial for the mom. So as soon as the mom gives birth, there's something that happens to the uterus, and that it contracts, it shrinks. It goes back to its normal size because it was holding your baby. And so that contraction happens with a lot of the hormones that are related to breastfeeding. So when you're breastfeeding your baby, that helps you to get back to that pre-pregnancy uterus, and also your body, because you're burning calories as your body's producing milk. So a lot of women have noticed that they lose a lot more of that baby weight when they were pregnant, because of the amount of calories they're burning from making milk. So that's one side when you're breastfeeding, right as soon as you give birth. The other important factors is that mother, by breastfeeding, reduces significantly her chances of getting breast and ovarian cancer, as well as type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure. So there are health benefits for mothers too. And definitely some cancers, like I said, the type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, are less common when women breastfeed. So as you get older and you have a history that I've breastfed my kids, you have less chances than someone who did not breastfeed. So it's a really important health factor to know your outcomes when you breastfeed as well as a mom.
Thank you. So, how does breastfeeding benefit baby? What are some of the nutritive benefits?
Oh, there's so many, and probably another show for the whole benefits. But I'm sure a lot of you have heard that babies who are breastfed just have a better health status, a health indicators for outcomes like ear infections, even some childhood type cancers. So there's so many benefits to breastfeeding your baby. And one of the main important things of breastfeeding your baby is everything you are passing down to your baby from your own experiences in life. So as you were growing up, you're building immunities. And as you are getting those immunities into your body, and sustaining that immune system, you're going to be passing a lot of that down to your baby through breastfeeding. Especially those first few critical months, they're getting a lot of those strong nutrients. You've heard of liquid gold, those first few days of life. That's powerful nutrients that go into the baby, full of things that unfortunately formulas will never be able to have. And the reason why is because it's human, providing human milk to a human baby. So That's the reason why all those benefits are there, because
Yeah.
they get that extra nutrient. So
It's literally tailor made to the
yeah,
body, to the mom and baby. Yeah.
yep.
What steps can families take to ensure that babies receive the nutrition necessary for a healthy development?
And that's good. So you're saying like so that the families can have sufficient, foods for themselves and for their family.
Yes.
Um, so I kind of, I don't know if you want to show, there's a picture to show differences of what I was mentioning with the benefits, if it's possible. Oh, here we go. So this is a really nice picture. Just basically, I know you had that question about, what are the differences between the two. So
Mhm.
um, this is a good indicator to show you that formula does provide the nutrients that it needs for the baby to grow and develop, but it doesn't provide those extra factors that the human body provides, which is antibodies, hormones, antiviruses, anti-allergies, anti-parasites, growth factors, enzymes, all of that, like say cholesterol, all those things go down through the breast milk because it's a natural form for a human to receive the milk. And those are things that cannot be replicated. So formula companies, they do their, they do what's necessary for growth and for development, like minerals, vitamins, DHA, ARA, which you guys have heard of, I'm sure, carbohydrates, proteins, and different, minerals that they need to be able to grow and sustain a baby. But it doesn't have those extra factors that a human provides. So that's the biggest difference that you'll see, and why we're always encouraging and supporting women to breastfeed their babies or pump and express milk or chest feed. This is the exact same reason we want to support.
Okay. In consuming or along with consuming breast milk, especially in the first 6 months of life with baby, does the baby need breast milk as and other um, foods and beverages like water, juice, cereal, as well as, and I guess this is a two-part question or
Mhm.
separate questions, but does baby need supplements if they're already consuming breast milk?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, actually, for the first 6 months of life, if a baby's being breastfed, they do not need anything, not even water, nothing, nothing, nothing for the first 6 months of life. And the reason why is because breast milk just provides 100% of the nutrients that it needs at the time. Now, there may be different circumstances. Maybe there's a baby that has a different need. So, those are individual and personalized support, which is what the WIC program can provide. So if a mom has, a baby might have a circumstance that maybe they were premature or they were hospitalized for something, those are a lot different situations. So, but generally, most babies, they do not need to have anything but breast milk for the first 6 months of life. Now, if they want to supplement, if their healthcare provider, like their pediatrician, might be recommending like a vitamin, like a multivitamin or vitamin D, that's something that you can talk to the pediatrician about for your baby. But it's always recommended that if a mom is nursing and postpartum, that they take a multivitamin themselves to help them. So even if they're having a nice, healthy, balanced diet, they can still take a multivitamin, to support their bodies. And so in that case, that also goes to the baby as well. So, just talk to your healthcare provider. And obviously, if you have the opportunity to talk to your nutritionist at WIC, they can also help you on a more personalized situation.
Okay. Now, I know you talked a little bit about, well, you just talked about it, some of the differences between consuming infant formula and consuming breast milk, and just showing just all the many benefits of breast milk, that in that infant formula, I mean, visually we see that can't compare. Are
Mhm.
there any risks with infant formula that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, there is obviously going to always be risks with formula because it is something that's exterior, like outside of the baby. So whenever the baby's on the breast, they're, right on the breast, and the breast provides like a antibacterial, antiviral oils that protects that area when they're breastfeeding. So their mouth just touches that and it's already cleansed. The areas, not touching anything else. Whereas when you are formula feeding, there are other things involved, like sterilizing the bottles, making sure that the water is clean, that is being mixed with the formula if it's a powdered formula. And powdered formulas are not sterilized. And so there are definitely risks with it. Kids, generally when they are on formula, also have higher ear infections and lots of different, issues that lead to the hospital or lead to the doctors when compared to breastfed babies. And so those are some of the risks. And like we recently heard about a recall with a formula that I'm sure if you didn't hear about it, you can also go on our Instagram page and see a little bit more about it. But a lot of mothers that were formula feeding with this brand had that issue. And so those are the kind of things that you do have with risk with formula feeding. But as the WIC program does provide formula and does provide support with breastfeeding, we want to make sure that we're there to help and support that family that's participating in WIC.
Okay. Are there any differences in nutritive benefits if baby is consuming breast milk or human milk from a bottle as opposed to the breast directly?
There are some differences, but very minor, just
Okay.
because they're expressing the milk out. But for the most part, they're getting the nutrients like a mom breastfeeding on the actual breast. So we actually encourage that. Like we have a kind of like a number one, number two, number three. So number one being breast baby directly to the breast, and if that's not possible, expressed breast milk into a bottle for the baby. And then the third being donated milk, if that's an option or a possibility for that family. And then that way that they're still getting human milk, breast milk. So it's different in that sense, but for the most part they're still getting the same nutrients and the factors from breastfeeding.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. With breastfeeding, are there any or yeah, I guess the process of breastfeeding or the breastfeeding experience, are there any exceptions to I guess the call or the recommendation to exclusively breastfeed, including like having babies in the NICU or and or moms who might have been exposed to COVID-19 but still wanting to breastfeed?
Yeah, and this is totally relevant. So I actually our WIC program does provide breast pumps to mothers who are exclusively breastfeeding and let's say are separated from their baby. That separation can be because of work, school, but it can also be if maybe your baby was born prematurely or has been hospitalized and is separated from you. So actually, the WIC program provides breast pumps for free, and they're hospital grade. You know, one of the best breast pumps in the market to be able to help that mother sustain her milk supply. Because that's really our goal is to make sure that mom continuously is pumping to ensure that she has sufficient milk when the baby does come back home and is out of the hospital. So in the NICU it varies by baby because not everybody's going to have the same case, but most of the time you can bring breast milk from your from the pumping that you've been doing either at the hospital or at home, and they will tell you how to mark it, how much to put in. They will give you even supplies that you need. My best recommendation is always to be in communication with your providers when you're in that situation, and count on WIC to help you with your breast pump too, and for lactation support. Because if a mom has a baby that's in the hospital, the lactation consultant is following up on you very regularly. So you have somebody to, talk to that has your back, that's able to share information, that's supporting you, and giving you experiences, because they are very experienced in these type of situations, our lactation consultants. So they're able to at least help you. And generally, when a baby is able to get anything by mouth, like a nipple or a pacifier, generally this is a good time for mothers to ask if they can put the baby either on their chest to do skin to skin, or try to breastfeed, to actually breastfeed. So those are kind of, the exceptions that you could try to, make when you're there in those situations, and find support groups, where mothers, have that. We actually have a peer counselor that had twins in the NICU. And so in those situations, it's nice to connect to someone that has gone through something like that. So just know that you have that support network.
Okay. And get to access these resources and the support, I guess more specifically, I know you mentioned the getting the hospital grade pumps. Would that be the breastfeeding helpline number they will
Yes,
call?
yes, they can call. If they're already on WIC, they can call that number. I mean, regardless, you can always call that number, even if you're not on WIC, because any number, so the number that you guys are seeing on the screen, one of them is for appointments. So if you're either new to WIC or you need to make a new appointment, that's the number to call. Or if you're already on a WIC, but you need some more breastfeeding support, from your other appointments, because you will have connection with a peer counselor, you might need more. This is the number you call, which is the bottom one that says breastfeeding helpline. It ends with 1336, and you call, and they're able to help you with resources, information. And if they get more information from you, and they find, your baby is in the NICU, or you yourself have COVID-19, or you have a cold and you're not sure what to do, those are the type of situations that you want to definitely reach out to this breastfeeding helpline. It's completely free. And even if you're not on WIC, they will redirect you to get onto WIC if you can. And if you do not qualify for WIC for whatever reason, they can at least provide you resources in the community to help you. So it's a really good number to have, and be able to have, that support network.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What would be, or what is your call to action, whether in context to today's live or overall when it comes to supporting breastfeeding moms or moms in general?
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. So, call to action. Really, this goes in so many different levels, but we've recently started a community collaborative, which Ketia is a part of. This is how it all happened, a Breastfeed Miami. And really, the vision is to see Miami-Dade County as a breastfeeding friendly community. And the call to action would be different for everybody, because it depends on your role. If you're a mother and you're breastfeeding your baby, the best thing you can do is get your support network, get help from people that can, push you in the right direction, and share similar goals with you, and help you attain your goals. Because sometimes we don't have support. Sometimes mothers don't have anybody who's breastfed in their family. They don't have anyone, friends, no one's breastfed. And so what that means is that mom, it feels alone. She feels like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. I don't even know if I can do it. There's no way. And all that doubt, causes maybe mom to stop breastfeeding, and to not have that. The best thing for you to do is, while you're pregnant, is reach out, find out where you can have support. There's tons of moms out there breastfeeding their babies. And the best thing to do is to reach out and connect, have a support group. Jessie, Trice, and Wick, they're doing a support group. You join that and start, making friends with other moms. So that would be my call to action for moms, is really to build your network, ideally when you're pregnant, so that you have your baby, you have resources to connect to, and not feel alone, because you're not. And then for any partners and providers that are listening, the best thing to do is to join the movement, join Breastfeed Miami. Help us become a breastfeeding friendly community, and by doing that is to support your patients, your clients, or maybe you're an employer, to be having a breastfeeding friendly policy for your employees, where they can go and breastfeed their baby, or to pump. Those are lots of different, opportunities, and just to be supportive with a family who is breastfeeding. So that's my call to action for all the different levels, and I'm sure there's so much more, but
Yeah.
get involved, find out more information about breastfeeding from us, from Ketia, from myself. You can reach out. There's so many things that you can do to help other women, to help other mothers, to help other fathers, partners, and families in Miami-Dade and Broward, and really all south of Florida, because we're
Yeah.
not a mixture here, So yeah, that's definitely my call to action.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate that you said it depends on your role, because all of us do have a role in this. It's not just the breastfeeding mom and baby, or the breastfeeding mom, dad, and baby. Is
Right.
everyone is, and sometimes it requires Capitol Hill, but we don't always have to be on Capitol Hill to make a change. We could make a change right where we are, and I really appreciate that. Thank you again, Carla.
Thank you, Ketia.
Any final thoughts? I know you already said a lot already, but any final?
Well, just to connect with us, get onto either our Instagram or Facebook page at Miami-Dade WIC. Breastfeed Miami also has one as well. So those are things that you can get involved and learn about, and find out more about the programs that are out there. The WIC program. We have a website which is on your screen as well, miamidadewic.org. So if you have any questions about like who qualifies, how do I get, how do I apply, all these different things, that's all on the website. There's also information links that you can download, like a chart on how to eat. So I know we talked a lot about nutrition today. So this is a great place for you to go and download some plate ideas, how many cups of vegetables and fruits to eat, how many ounces of lean protein, or what kind of protein should I eat. All that's on that website. So definitely reach out, take a look at it, and you can reach out to myself as well if you have any questions with WIC or breastfeeding.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ketia.
you again, Carla, joining us. I know you mentioned something about one of the topics, and I'll follow up with you later. You said this could be a whole nother live. I'm gonna see about that.
Yes.
But in the meantime, again, thank you all who joined live. Thank you for those who are joining and viewing the recording. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Live Healthy Miami Gardens here on Facebook as well as YouTube, where we also go live every Tuesday at 3:00 p.m. Check out some of our other videos on breastfeeding and other health topics. Our breastfeeding topics generally are on fourth Tuesdays of the month. Every other Tuesday of the week, you can find other health topics. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and you can find us at livehealthymiamigardens.com, offering more health content and resources. Until then, have a great rest of the week, rest of the day.
Thank you.